Wow, this campsite's awesome. I've been thinking, there's benefits and drawbacks to doing trips like this alone. On the negative side, sometimes I don't get to meet anybody for a few days at a time, especially if I'm in an area where nobody speaks English, or I'll just have these superficial interactions with people and not any real conversations. But on the plus side, I get to choose my own adventure. You know, nobody else is there to influence where we're going to eat or who I'm going to talk with, or if I meet somebody, I just go and run off and have dinner with them. And if I had somebody with me, I'd be less likely to meet that other person in the first place. I would say I still prefer traveling alone, and I think it's going to get easier again once I get into Germany. It has been very hard through France and Switzerland to strike up conversations with people, and I haven't met that many other bike packers because we're all biking in different directions and at different speeds, but sometimes at camp I've met a couple people. This is the longest trip that I've taken, and it's definitely taken a toll on me. You can tell by my facial hair here, but it's taken a mental toll. I've wanted to take a trip for this long, a single bike packing or backpacking trip for this long for a while now, and it's made me want to take one that's even longer. There's definitely times of the day where there's a lot of mental anguish from what I'm going through, especially when it's raining and I can't get my phone to open because it's soaked. But getting to the top of a mountain and seeing the 360-degree views makes it all worth it. Made it to the top of today's mountain, and it was very small. Today is mostly downhill, and then the uphills would be right after a downhill, so I could kind of use my momentum to get up them. But I think I've learned my lesson here. When it starts raining, I'm just gonna get under some cover. The rain usually stops after 20 minutes, and that guy's gonna be wet in about 10 minutes. So started sprinkling. I'm gonna let the rain come and pass because today's mostly downhill after this. I think I probably have about 20 kilometers downhill to go. And yeah, so I'm just gonna hang out here, have a snack, keep listening to Kitchen Confidential, which I'm loving. It's my second listen, but might be my favorite book, especially with Anthony narrating it. Another rainy day, another 100 kilometers. $50 kilometers in for the day. I just took a lunch break at a Spar, which is another popular grocery store here. Checked out my camping options for tonight and decided that I do not want to stay in France because the one camp that is close enough for me to stay at had bad reviews. I am going to cross the river into Germany and stay at a well-rated campground. I'm excited for it, but it did lengthen my run for the day by about 15 kilometers, so I have 55 more kilometers to do. It's noon right now. I should make it there by 3 or 4 at the latest, even with a grocery stop. And I don't actually know if this is going to get me much, if the extra 15 kilometers is going to get me much closer to Frankfurt, because I'm just basically heading east. I'm not gaining much ground, but I think it'll be fun to be back in Germany. That's kind of what I was expecting after I left Switzerland, so change it to meet my expectations. Maybe I'll have a Radler tonight. It has been interesting riding along the French-German border here. There's a lot of stuff about the history of the war and people's grave sites, cannons. Right now I'm on the Rue de Libération, which the Road of the Liberation, and there's a big bell right here. So there is a lot of history on this route, I can tell, and I've seen a lot of bike packers today. I even saw one tandem bike packing couple, which is cool. Now I'm crossing the border from France into Germany. There's been 2 large rivers here with a hydroelectric power plant and flags in support of Ukraine. Doing laundry for the first time in about 2.5 weeks here. Really only worn 2 different pairs of clothes, so it has been about 8 days of one pair of shorts and long sleeve and another 8 days of another. And then I just switched to another pair of shorts for the last few days. And this is how I've been charging everything at most places. The laptop gets charged and then everything gets plugged into the laptop. Sometimes I have time to switch it out and even charge my camera batteries, but usually the laptop can last to charge this battery twice. It seems to work. I just find a power outlet somewhere, plug it in, and since I'm using the Euro converter, it has to be supported. Today's rain. Full 21 days and 1,600 kilometers ago, I left Marseille to ride along the French Riviera, ride through the French Alps, and go to Frankfurt. Today is the final day of this bike ride. I'm going 70 kilometers to an Airbnb. I'm gonna sleep in a bed for the next 4 days, more than I've stayed in a bed the entire trip so far. This trip was amazing, but it's taken a huge toll on me, and I need to rest now. It should be a nice, easy day. 70 kilometers, probably about 45 miles. After about 1,600 kilometers, I only have 988 meters left to the Airbnb. Unfortunately, I can't check in for about 2 hours, so I am just gonna go and have some pizza, hang out, and wait to go to my Airbnb so I can shower up. So I've been back in Frankfurt for the last couple days now, and oh, you're not gonna be able to take me serious looking like this. Hold on. Finishing this trip was pretty hard for me. In the last few days, about 5 days from the end, I was feeling like, I just want to take a train to Frankfurt, get an Airbnb and rest. But when you have that urge, you've made it so far, it's really only flat the rest of the way. I was kind of on the home stretch at that point. I just didn't feel like continuing. I don't know why. I guess since my trip was derailed as far as the route, I didn't get to go through the Vinoy like I wanted to. I just felt like, I'll just scrap the whole thing, just go to Frankfurt. The point of doing this was to transport myself from Marseille to Frankfurt, go friggin' halfway across Europe, and train my legs to be able to handle these high kilometer days this weekend, which this video will be coming out way later. I am going to be doing Taunus Bikepacking, which is a 1,000 kilometer bikepacking event in the Taunus area near Frankfurt. Taunus is like a little mountainous region near Frankfurt, just west of it, and there's a bunch of small towns there and some really beautiful views and a ton of history too. People have been there for well over 1,000 years. So the point was really to make sure that I could do these really long days, go up mountains, and then the flat part at the end was a good training of just doing high mileage. I've always had this need to just finish what I started.
You just feel so much worse when you quit doing something, especially when there's not something like physically stopping you. There was nothing really making me want to stop riding. You see what I'm saying? Just besides my want to. I was homesick in a sense. I just wanted to be hanging out with my family or in the mountains of Virginia and North Carolina, not out in the middle of nowhere in Germany. Even though I was getting to talk with my friends and family all the time, it just felt like, I don't know, I was kind of on an alien planet and I was separated from everybody. And those feelings of homesick are gonna come no matter what when I'm traveling, but they're temporary too. I was fine a day or two later. The challenges on this trip were definitely more mental than physical. Even though it was very physically demanding, there was not even a point where I was remotely close to being at my limit. Because I knew I had to do this thing for such a long period of time, on any one day, I was not pushing myself even close to what I was physically capable of. Because being pushed to the limit of what I'm physically capable of means that I would not be able to continue the following day.